Plenty of people have traveled to Singapore, but very few have ever done time there. So almost nobody knows just how suffocating Singapore's prisons really are. So crushingly oppressive, they make you want to end it all on the spot. There's no extra furniture, no electronic distractions, and even a mattress is considered a burden. In a space obsessed with symmetry and absolute order, every single item is placed with millimeter precision. It's basically a perfectionist's dream come true. But for the women locked up in here, this obsessive perfection is a living hell. Changi Prison Complex has a long history. Originally built in 1936 and is widely known as Singapore's most brutal prison. In 1953, they set up Institution A4 inside the complex, Singapore's one and only women's prison, holding around 800 female inmates. While the men next door get single cells, the women are crammed 3 to 4 into a tiny room. Each cell is only about 65 square feet total, 3 steps long, barely wide enough to roll over twice, absurdly cramped. Every cell looks like what most prisons would call solitary confinement. There's almost nothing inside, not even a bed. Inmates sleep on the bare concrete floor with just a thin mat. Cameras watch them 24 hours a day. Eating, bathing, using the toilet, all of it is under surveillance. The cameras even have night vision, so lights on or off, the guards get a crystal clear live feed. Personal supplies are standardized. Each inmate gets 2 rolls of toilet paper per month, 15 sanitary pads, 1 bar of bath soap, and 1 bar of laundry soap. To prevent inmates from stashing anything, the cups and storage boxes provided by the prison are all transparent, making it easy for guards to see what's inside. Toothbrushes are custom-made extra short to prevent them from being used as weapons. When not in use, every toothbrush must be placed perfectly straight in its designated spot. Mealtime is straight-up caveman style. No utensils, you eat with your bare hands. The prison also throws in a blanket and a straw mat, but don't think you can just lie down whenever you feel like it. During the day, the mat must be rolled up neatly and stacked against the wall. You can only use it at night. 12 hooks on the wall, split equally among cellmates. No more, no less. At 5:30 a.m., the lights snap on and everyone lines up to wash up. By 7, a nerve-rattling bell goes off, and the guards begin their routine inspection. The moment that bell rings, inmates must drop whatever they're doing, sit facing the door, and wait for the guards to check. The guards peer through an observation window above the iron door, scanning each face one by one. After the morning check, a slot at the bottom of the door opens up, and breakfast is served. It's usually a bottle of milk and a few slices of bread, sometimes with a piece of fruit thrown in for vitamins. After breakfast, the day officially begins. Lock a handful of women in a tiny space year after year, and explosive drama is practically guaranteed. This place is basically a daily soap opera. In a cell barely 65 square feet, there's not even enough room for emotions to breathe. The tiniest thing can blow up into a full-on brawl. Forget to wipe the water off the floor after a shower, or leave your storage box slightly crooked, and you'll immediately feel the wrath of your cellmates. This is Christine, 47 years old, training a new cellmate on the rules. This is Christine's first time in prison, but it's also her last, because she's never getting out. Her story is as simple as it is brutal. In 2010, desperate for cash, she got hooked up through a friend with a little delivery side gig. The job was dead simple. Drop off a plastic bag-sized package at a designated apartment. The bag was full of white powder. Honestly, anyone with half a brain would have had second thoughts the moment they saw it. But Christine was naive and figured it was no big deal. That one delivery earned her $200 and bought her a one-way ticket to life behind bars. When the judge read the sentence, Christine genuinely thought she'd do a few years at most. Life in prison never even crossed her mind. Every time she thinks about it, Christine is absolutely crushed beyond words. She's wanted to end it all multiple times, just to make the pain stop, but the prison never even gave her the chance. There's nothing sharp in the cell, and not even enough room to get a running start at the wall. Guards patrol the common areas around the clock, with surveillance so tight it puts a live stream to shame. The second she even thinks about suicide, the guards have her pinned to the ground. Over time, Christine has made peace with prison life. But even behind bars, she insists on keeping up appearances. To make a good impression on her cellmates, She rubs soap on her skin as makeshift perfume. And when the soap doesn't cut it, she'll actually spend her wages on shampoo and dab that on as perfume instead. The prison runs various workshops, the idea being that hard work keeps loneliness at bay. Of all the work programs, the textile factory gets the highest attendance. It produces bed sheets, blankets, and pajamas for hospitals. The schedule is 6 days on, 1 day off, and slacking is absolutely not an option. During work hours, no chatting, no zoning out, no distractions of any kind. At the end of each month, a $30 paycheck gets deposited into each inmate's electronic account. Sure, that barely covers a casual meal out in downtown Singapore, but inside these walls, it's enough to go on a spending spree at the commissary. They can spend their wages on toiletries and snacks, with about 37 items to choose from. A pack of crackers at the prison store costs $1.69. A cup of instant noodles goes for $1.50, and a bar of soap is just 36 cents. Of course, they can also save up and send the money home to their families. Hazika is a repeat offender. This is her 4th time behind bars for drugs. This time around, her fiancé showed real teamwork by checking into the men's prison next door 2 months before she did. A true power couple, reunited behind bars in the most absurd way possible. But the ones who really suffer are their kids. The oldest is 12 and the youngest is just 2. For Hazika, that $30 paycheck isn't just money, it's her ticket to redemption. She won't spend a cent on snacks, won't treat herself to anything. Instead, she saves every last dollar and sends it home every month to her father, who's looking after her kids on the outside. It's barely a drop in the bucket when it comes to raising 3 kids, but it's the only thing she can do for them from behind bars. Behind these walls, aside from work, the most precious thing is 1 hour of free time each day. But this little perk isn't guaranteed. If even one person throws a minor tantrum during rec time, the hammer drops on everyone. Free time gets revoked across the board, and nobody gets it back until they prove they can behave. If an inmate keeps breaking the rules and refuses to learn, she gets confined to her cell indefinitely. Joanna is a textbook example. During one rec period, she got into an argument with 2 other inmates and was escorted back to her cell by the guards. The moment her freedom was snatched away, Joanna had a complete meltdown.
You go back to your cell now. But not fair! Stop shouting. Stop shouting and go back to your cell.
Joanna didn't stop. If anything, she doubled down, and the profanity just kept escalating. It took 3 more guards showing up before she finally went back to her cell. In the end, she paid a brutal price. 2 months of lockdown. The prolonged isolation made Joanna constantly on edge. If anyone so much as stopped talking to her, she'd immediately assume she was being shunned and want to settle it with her fists. But she knew that if a fight left any marks, victim, or aggressor, she'd lose her free time either way. So all she could do was lie in her corner and silently swallow her emotions.
I'm angry, don't talk to me first.
To keep inmates from getting too comfortable with each other, the prison reshuffles cellmates every 3 months, putting strangers together in the same room. Before the move, guards do a thorough sweep of each cell, making sure no one has stashed anything. Now, these cells are about as bare bones as it gets. There's literally nowhere to hide anything. But the guards still tear the place apart, checking every last corner, even pulling the hooks off the wall to inspect behind them. Every now and then, guards stumble upon inmate artwork. Some prisoners get so bored, they turn to art, like drawing. The guard's usual response? Nice work. Don't do it again. Because a lot of these drawings are way too dark and graphic. If you want to draw, fine, but keep it cheerful and uplifting, like Winnie the Pooh. For the inmates, every room shuffle is a mad dash, because the last one in gets stuck sleeping next to the toilet, where the floor is permanently wet, so damp you could literally grow mushrooms. To secure 3 months of relative peace, the first thing new cellmates do isn't introduce themselves, it's lay down the house rules. Everything gets laid out, from the exact angle of the soap to the bathing order.
Bathing, okay, no problem. Okay, bathing, you try to leave. Then after that, tùy đi lực kiểu là xé sang, tùy xa lờ.
For inmates who behave exceptionally well, the prison has a reward system. They can sign up for art classes to learn painting, sculpting, and crafts. When they're done, Every single brush and blade must be lined up in perfect order, and each inmate has to report to the guards exactly which tools she used. The guards' inspections are meticulous down to the last detail. If a single blade has a chipped tooth, there's an on-the-spot investigation. On top of that, to prevent anyone from suddenly snapping, the scissors are literally chained down. Beyond the art programs, certain trusty jobs within the prison are filled by inmates themselves. And Nina is one of them. As a prison-selected staff member, she's got one perk that makes every other inmate insanely jealous: shoes. That's right, shoes. Because in here, almost everyone goes barefoot. Beyond the tropical climate, the main reason is that officials see shoes as both a hiding spot for contraband and a potential weapon. So in here, wearing shoes is literally a status symbol. Nina's workload is no joke. She distributes breakfast, hands out supplies, collects medicine boxes, and does sanitation rounds with disinfectant nearly 10 hours a day. But she doesn't mind one bit, because on top of her paycheck, the job comes with a snack care package as a bonus, packed with peanut cookies, candy, and little cakes. Nina is 35 and is back for her 4th stint in prison for drug offenses. In front of the camera, she doesn't fish for sympathy. She's brutally honest, flat out admitting she's in too deep and telling everyone to use her as a cautionary tale. As a veteran addict, Nina started using at 14. To break free from drugs, she tried everything: working out, drinking, even burying herself in work to numb the cravings. But none of it held up against temptation. She was last released in March 2022, barely got a few months of fresh air, and by October she was checking right back in. She can thank Singapore's police for that. They run random urine tests on anyone with a drug history. That day, Nina was at her desk in an office building when the cops caught her completely off guard. Now, she's been back inside for another 2 years. The prison's been actively lining up job interviews for after her release, and she's sworn up and down she'll never touch the stuff again. But let's be real, when someone makes that promise from inside a cell, chances are they'll be back. Even the guards can't help but drop this gem. A good inmate doesn't necessarily make a good citizen. It's not cynicism, it's experience. They've just seen way too many familiar faces walk back through those doors. This is Helen, 58, on her 12th stint in prison. Even though she spent most of her adult life behind bars, she still managed to find true love in here. Helen had a failed marriage once. Her ex-husband cheated, and they eventually went their separate ways. After the divorce, Helen didn't give up on love. She started exchanging letters with a guy in the men's wing next door, and that's how she found her fiancé. After more than a year as pen pals, they made it official. Now, her fiancé has already been released ahead of her and is out there getting their new life ready. Helen is about to turn 60, and this time she's dead set on cutting ties with her past for good. Her plan the second she walks out? Delete every single contact on her phone, find a real job, and start a new life with her fiancé. The inmates here all share one thing in common: bring up their past, and the regret is written all over their faces. Every single one of them swears she's done with that life for good. But the reality is, a lot of them end up right back in here after they get out. Whether it's because the outside world is just too tempting to resist, or they've simply gotten used to the stripped-down life inside these walls, who really knows? If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll keep digging up more unbelievable true stories in the next one.